That brings us to our committee department reports and city manager's report. Mr. Sanders.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a couple of updates. The first one is on the FY 2014 budget. I want to thank the department heads for being patient with me as I'm new and have about 1 million questions going through finances and looking at the numbers for next year. There's some good news and bad news right now. The good news is the departments continue to watch their dollars closely this year. We hope to bring some dollars to the bottom line for next year. In talking to the county tax assessor, his estimate is that we still will have a small drop, a 3% drop in our tax digest, which is our major revenue source for our budget. We're going to continue to monitor that and look at that. We will have a rough draft, which I would like to present and talk to the council in small group meetings before we have a full-blown budget meeting. I'd like to talk to you about the philosophy that I went in with, where we stand with the numbers, and talk about some potential new revenue sources, and get your feedback before we go to a full public budget hearing. But the process is moving. As I said, I think that the news is mixed, but we will come out with a strong, balanced budget where we'll continue to provide a good level of services next year. One of the things that we're hoping to do that affects the budget is our bond refinancing. I probably haven't given you an update on that for the last few weeks. We now have a schedule, a bond calendar. We're moving towards most likely a private placement of the bond refinancing, with savings being equal or better to a bond sale. And we're looking at a May 9th closing date. That would presuppose a joint meeting day. The next mayor and council meeting is the 22nd. We would need to have a called URA meeting on that day and a mayor and council action afterwards on the intergovernmental contract. So that process is moving. I'll have that schedule out to you tomorrow, and hopefully we can bring that to a conclusion on May the 9th and bring home several $100,000 in savings from that refunding. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanders. We have nothing on tonight's consent agenda. Now for old business. Under our public hearing, we have consideration and action on an economic development ordinance. This is a ordinance to establish an Office of Economic Development with outlined duties and responsibilities. This is a second reading, so it'll be subject to public comment. I believe this is an ordinance, Mr. Sanders, if you want to elaborate, this is an ordinance that was drafted by Nick Messino of Partnership Gwinnett, and I believe that the city of Lilburn, the city of Suwanee, and the city of Lawrenceville have already passed. Has Lawrenceville passed theirs? No. Other cities in Gwinnett County have already passed this ordinance.
Yes, they have. This is really a hybrid between what Partnership Gwinnett uses and what is appropriate for a local city government. I think you, Mayor, have been involved in this for several years. Councilwoman Kraus has become involved. Eric has taken earlier drafts and developed this hybrid. I think it's very important for us to be involved in the economic development process at as high a level as we can be. This basically provides a framework for our future economic development decisions and participation in the process. And I certainly am supportive of this ordinance.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Sanders? See none, I'll open the floor to public comment. If you'd like to speak for or against this ordinance, please come forward, state your name and address for the record. See no public comment, I'll close the public hearing and I will entertain a motion by council.
I'd like to make a motion, Madam Chair, that we pass the economic development ordinance.
There's a motion by Councilwoman Kraus. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Emanuel. Any further discussion? See none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of approval of the ordinance as stated signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. All those opposed, 0 opposed. The ordinance stands approved. Moving on to item number B, we have first reading of CUP 13-03, consideration action on application by L&B JL LLC for conditional use permit for various uses and requests for variances from the zoning ordinance for .28 plus or minus acres property zoned HSB Highway Service Business District located at 2320 Ronald Reagan Parkway, Snellville, Georgia, tax parcels 5040, 06, 0, and 227. Do I have a motion to waive the first reading and place this on our April 22nd agenda?
Madam Chair, I'll make that motion to waive the first reading.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Howard. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of waiving the first reading and placing it on our April 22nd agenda signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. All those opposed, that's 0 opposed. The motion stands approved. Moving on then to new business. Excuse me. We have consideration action on a resolution. To get there. On a resolution to amend the resolution creating the oh, no. Too far. Consideration action on Resolution 2013-09, a resolution for supplemental leases, a resolution authorize and direct an officer of the city to execute one or more lease supplements for a lease or leases under the GMA Direct Leasing Program, to designate such leases as qualified tax-exempt obligations, to provide an effective date, and for other purposes. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2013-09?
Motion to approve Resolution 2013-09.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem Witz. Any further discussion? Mr. Sanders, you want to tell us what this is for?
This is to purchase, to finalize the purchase, which was approved by council several months ago, of a jet vac sewer truck for our stormwater department. This provides a piece of equipment which will basically bring us into this century. We've been doing a lot of work by hand and with an awful lot of labor. This is a piece of equipment that will make us much more efficient and serve the community very well. It is a $219,000 purchase that was approved. The lease rate, we will be leasing this through the GMA equipment pool. The lease rate has actually dropped over the ensuing months, so we're almost down to 2%. This item is budgeted. The actual payment will be about $5,000 less than the budget, which is about a 10% savings. The initial payment will be due this year, which is $56,663, and annual payments over the next 3 years. So I would ask that we approve the purchase of this equipment.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Sanders? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of approval of Resolution 2013-09 signify by raising your right hand. 6 in favor. All those opposed, 0 opposed. The motion stands approved. Item number B, consideration action on a resolution for the Snellville Public Arts Commission to change the residency requirements. This is a resolution to amend the resolution creating the City of Snellville Public Arts Commission and to further provide for membership, tasks, and responsibilities, other administrative functions, and other general provisions and purposes. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion to approve.
There's a motion by Councilman Emanuel. Is there a second? Second by Councilwoman Kraus. Any further discussion?
I'd just like to point out we're trying to expand, get full membership on the council. We haven't been successful so far, so we're opening up to additional people who are not residents of the city but have an interest in the city.
Additional discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the resolution as stated signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. All those opposed, 0 opposed. The resolution stands approved. Moving on, consideration action on appointment of Todd Warner for the Planning Commission. Is there a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we nominate Todd Warner for post 4 of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
There is a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Witz. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Emanuel. Is there further discussion?
Yes. As a businessman, one of the first rules you learn is when you're going to hire somebody, or you want to get the best you can get for the money you're spending. I think that same philosophy into appointments in the city. I'm nominating Todd Warner for several reasons, but most importantly, his experience. Todd was a member of the Planning Commission for 4 years, spent 3 of those 4 years as chairman of that body, left that body, became and sat on the city council for 4 years. The 4 years he spent on the council, he's very influential in the zoning and planning aspects of council. His knowledge was always sought, it was always freely given, and was usually right on the money. So it's someone that I think that the people who served with him on council in the past, and hopefully this council will see it was just an absolute attribute to the city. Right now we're going through some changes. For instance, our group home ordinance is now under scrutiny. No experience is a very vital part of that. I think someone like Todd, with the knowledge that he has, coming to that body is going to enrich it and also make for the better ordinances for the city from this point forward. So I'd ask my colleagues on council if they would support my nomination of Todd and make him our planning commissioner from post 4.
Further comments? This is a matter that is pending litigation. This is a nomination by council, not the mayor, for the planning commission appointment. This and item number D as well, as a result of the home rule changes that the council made to the charter a couple of months ago. And so because of the pending litigation, because that this is an issue of that pending litigation with the lawsuit with myself and the council, some members of council, I don't believe it's appropriate to take this action at this point in time. So I will not support item C or D based on the pending litigation. If there's no further comment, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the appointment of Todd Warner for Planning Commission Post 4 signify by raising your right hand. 4 in favor. All those opposed. 2 opposed. The appointment stands approved. Item number D, consideration action on appointment of Tim Van Valkenburg for Board of Appeals Post 4. Is there a motion?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to make that motion that we nominate and approve the appointment of Tim Van Valkenburg for the Board of Appeals Post 4.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Councilman Emanuel. Further discussion?
Yes, please. Again, to kind of piggyback on what Tom had said earlier, you know, one of the things we want to try to do is fill these boards with people that are, you know, have some experience, that want to be engaged, want to give and contribute to our city, and want to be a part of that community that we talked about yesterday at the community garden. Tim has shown his willingness to get in with us and be a part of this community. He's served other cities that he's lived in. He's been a volunteer fireman for 25 years in one of those cities, and he wants to give back. And these are the kind of people that we'd like to see on these boards. So I would ask that my colleagues support Tim Van Valkenburg for this appointment to the Board of Appeals.
Further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of appointment of Tim Van Valkenburg for the Board of Appeals Post 4 signify by raising your right hand. That's 4 in favor. All those opposed. 2 opposed. The appointment stands approved. Now for council reports.